in a manner that would help to reduce spread of disease such as HIV/AIDS and herpes, hepatitis, all of those things. Since you're a medical professional, do you have any sort of like, I guess, is there some sort of like plan or something? Is there a method that you've maybe already thought of as far as the decriminalization and also, you know, the protection of the workers?
I have, Jason, because I worked at a St. James Infirmary from 2002 to 2005. St. James Infirmary was set up by Margot St. James. She was run for political office a couple times here in San Francisco. And it was set up as a health clinic for sex workers. So I've worked with porn stars. I've worked with sex workers off the street. I've gone out on the streets and distributed condoms. And I talked to prostitutes out on the street that their pimps threatened to kill me if I didn't leave them alone. So I think that there is a way to do it where they have where protections are put in sight. I don't want them to. I don't want it to turn into a pimpdom and a mafia kind of thing. I want them to get all the protections and help that they can get for the very reasons that you said: HPV, AIDS, HIV and AIDS, STDs is still going, it's still going on, and everything. So with those protections, something like St. James has instilled in me a way that you can protect them, and therefore that protects the people that they're with, their tricks or their johns, as it were. And so that's my method. That's my idea behind it. And then, of course, the legal ramifications, I would have to put something together and talk to people about the law and how we can change that. Maybe legislate something new that will go through the state Senate.
Let me jump in. I'm sorry. I forgot to press start streaming. My apologies. It was a very busy day, and I'm going to get to why I'm a little bit distracted. Good news. So just to let me do this right. Veronika, I'd like to reintroduce you, if I may. I apologize. Just to cut the story short, we're going to have a gigantic recall candidates debate on Saturday, and I just got the top third and fourth candidate to agree, and the guy who hosted the 2003 recall to agree. So bigger debate than anything we've done. I just coordinated all this. I apologize for being late and forgetting to start the stream. Veronika, Fuji, we do not do this. We're very organized. Today was a big, big day. So Veronika, with your permission, I would like to reintroduce you. May I have your permission to do that?
Of course, Marcus. You can reintroduce. Yes.
So we have two governor candidates here, Veronika Fimbres and Fuji Shioura. Yes, California has worked with other governor candidates here in the past, recently Nicholas Wildstar, where we had Nicholas on for about 6 or 7 shows, introduced him to multiple people, did promotional videos for him, mentioned him on our Twitter and Facebook page, and in results, he was able to get his first major media mention by GV Wire, and then that led to his first network television appearance on KC24. And all he did was say one thing. While he wasn't necessarily going to promote CalExit as the goal, he said the people of California have a right to vote. And if a Donald Trump type event happened again in the future, Californians, of course, have the right to have a legal, peaceful vote. And if a majority of them choose a future as an elected official, of course, he would follow the will of the voters. Candidates Shioura and Fimbres both agreed to make those statements. And so I am calling on everyone who supports CalExit to support their campaigns throughout the next year or wherever they go, because they're willing to say that the people of California have a right to vote, self-determination, and of course they would respect the will of the voters. That may seem mundane and not controversial, But many people are not yet willing to say that, even though it's the pinnacle of democracy. Candidate Shioura and Fimbres have been working with us, and we will continue to promote them. I am openly calling on everyone in the movement, all 160,000 people on social media across Facebook, Twitter, and email, who are connected to the 32% of Californians, 1/3 of Californians who like this idea, and the 400 reporters across America that we know, that you will begin to see these people repeatedly here. They are not necessarily backing our motive, but they agree to support our call for democratic revolution. Veronika Fimbres is the Green Party candidate this year for the recall election. Now, she was mentioned in Cal Matters, the top policy journal, as being the candidate for the recall election. And
Marcus, you just cut yourself off.
Oh, technical difficulties.
Well, it happens.
Hang in there with us, folks. Yeah, right.
It took me forever to figure out how to do StreamYard. I still, every time I sit at my Mac, it just I have to find out Google Chrome. I have to reopen and download stuff all over again. I don't know why we just don't use a simpler format. Is there a simpler format than StreamYard, or you all just like it?
Well, we used Zoom for a while, and Zoom has some pros and some cons. Just
I
like
apologize.
StreamYard.
Yes,
it's just that StreamYard seemed to have a little more of the pros that we want, like being able to do the screen sharing and the little banner thing, candidate for 2022 down there.
Let me jump in. Thank you, Jason. Let me jump in. I apologize for that. Normally we spend about 30 minutes preparing, but I was on the phone up until 2 minutes ago setting up the debate. So I apologize for the technical difficulties. Let me continue the introduction of candidate Fimbres. Veronika Fimbres was the only recognized Green Party candidate according to Cal Matters. That's the top policy magazine. They mentioned her twice as the Green Party candidate. You may have heard of other people, but Cal Matters, the top policy magazine, did not consider them the top candidate for the Green Party. They did with Veronika. Veronika was also helped along by Mike Feinstein. Perhaps in CALEXIT you may have heard about him, very famous politician. Veronika has been a veteran. She's been a nurse. She's worked in the Folsom prison, and she's worked on Rikers Island. She was the very first.
Not Folsom. I worked at San Quentin. I was the very
San Quentin.
trans nurse at safety nurse at San Quentin, and I worked at Rikers Island as a community associate back in the 80s. And I'm still currently a nurse too, Marcus.
Yes.
I'm still a nurse.
Thank you. She is still a nurse. She has been a nurse for many years. She is an LGBTQ person who has worked in some very tough spots. And she was one of the first people who have LGBTQ background to do so, being a pioneer. She's also fought for civil rights in the San Francisco region. She has personally met Gavin Newsom, although she has certain opinions of him. She also worked on the re-elect Willie Brown campaign, which was very famous. She was the first LGBTQ appointed officer of San Francisco County and San Francisco City. And so basically, if you're looking for somebody who's a veteran.
In the history of San Francisco, the city and county of San Francisco, I'm the first trans officer in the history of San Francisco city and county.
A lot of experience, a lot of civil rights background, trans officer, working in the prisons, working as a nurse, as a veteran, and also during the Vietnam era. Also, she survived homelessness. She survived multiple forms of discrimination and abuse against every form of background, African-American, woman, LGBTQ, or just an outspoken person. And she survived it and thrived. You name the tough experience a human in California could go through, Veronika's gone through it. She has an immense wealth of connections in the San Francisco Bay Area. She's well known amongst Green Party candidates, well respected, got mentioned, and has been around in politics and fighting the fight. And I have to tell you, with her on the phone while she was trying to qualify for the recall debate, I've never met somebody who's a tougher fighter. She just wouldn't give up and kept fighting every step of the way. And we are proud to have a Green Party candidate here, Veronika Fimbres, as a candidate we will be friendly with and continue to promote, as we will any candidate who is willing to say that the people of California have a right to vote and they would recognize their will of the people. I'm going to go to Fuji Shioura, and then we'll come back to Veronika for a few questions. Fuji Shioura is also a candidate for governor. Like Wildstar and Veronika, he too has agreed to say, hey, if a Donald Trump type event happens, the people of California, of course, have the right to have a legal vote. And if a majority of them choose to do that under international legal precedent, of course, he would follow the will of the voters. That doesn't mean necessarily that it's his main priority, just like Veronika, just like Nicholas Wildstar, but it does mean that they're willing to recognize democracy and the will of the people, and we are proud to now have 3 governor candidates who are willing to say that. Fuji Shioura is an elected official out of Placentia. He is of Asian heritage, but I have to tell you, boy, does he know la gente. He knows Latino people very well. He knows our culture. He knows how to speak with us. He's very connected to Latinos. He's very connected on Latin issues. I was personally impressed. By the way, Veronika, when I told her I'm Tejano, she knew what that meant. So Veronika, really impressed that you knew what this variation of Latino heritage meant. Very awesome to work with 2 Californians of that. And also Veronika married a Latino, so hey, what are they? But Fuji spends a lot of time with Latinos, knows them, knows the culture very well. Fuji is a elected official. He's been running in the office. He's a great guy. He helped put together a lot of the information on the candidates so that Yes California could even reach out to them. He's a civil rights activist and a somewhat social conservative, but very pro-California diversity. So I want to say welcome to both of you. This is just the beginning of a long trip where you are invited to come to any Yes California meeting anytime to talk about your campaign. You do not have to talk about CALEXIT. As long as you're willing to say people have the right to vote, we want to be friendly with you and promote you and introduce you to our 160,000 virtual members. And hopefully that will lead to 32% of the population in California who likes this idea to also know about you, as we have already done for multiple candidates, achieving them a degree of notoriety and media recognition. I want to turn it over now to the people. Let's go to Jason Wright first. Jason, do you have questions for the candidates? First question for Veronika, then we'll go to question for Fuji. Jason, any questions? And then we'll go to anybody else who has any questions to the candidates.
Should I re-ask the questions that I asked before the recording started? Okay. So
I just normally we get 30 minutes of prep time. I had 2, and it's going to be worth it when I just landed. But yeah.
I apologize as well, because normally I'm on top of things and would have been there to remind you, hey, the recording hasn't started. And I too lapsed on that one. So it's not just your bad, brother. So candidate Fimbres, the first question is, what is something that you learned in the military through your service, something that you've learned that you can apply to your everyday life, like maybe a life lesson or something?
Without going into the same amount of detail, I would say that one thing that I learned is that relationships, interpersonal relationships, are like, they're priceless. They're priceless. And when I was going through what I was going through, the military was attacking my roommates and myself for being homosexual, as it were. And they told our friends not to be our friends. And those people had been through, the people in my company had been through so much with me. We were friends off the base, and we visited people's homes, and they came to ours and everything. So when they told our friends not to be our friends. And the reason I found out is because one of them told me, they told us not to be your friend. I was like, and how did you feel about that? They said, well, we're your friend, Veronika. We're your friend. We're not going to throw you under the bus because of what they tell us. So I still had interpersonal relationships with them. So I learned that it's what people think of you, how they perceive you, how they interact with you, that allows them to support you come hell or high water. And that was important to me. That was important.
Okay, we're going to go to the next question to candidate Fuji Shioura. Candidate Fuji Shioura, when is a time that you've dealt with discrimination or hardship, and how did that help or define your character, sir?
Well, dealing with discrimination on a racial basis is growing up as a young Asian American, and it was a challenge, you know. Growing up in certain places that didn't have a lot of Asians at the time, I found it, I conquered it, I overcome it by working harder and teaching other people really be my friend by showing them how wonderful the Asian culture is, particularly being Japanese American. And it took some work and effort, but I always believe that people are inherently good people, that they learn bad habits, there's prejudice, through bad patterns and bad behavior from other people. So I really believe that people can change for the better. And so I always think the best of people until they prove me wrong. But you continue to try to convince them to be better human beings, and just as importantly, better Californians. Because being Californian is about being different. There's nothing about being California by being the same. You want to be a Californian, period. I was born in San Diego. Well, be different. You want to be the same, then, well, perhaps California isn't for you. But the whole idea of being a Californian is diversity. Our diversity is our strength, it's our gift, it's our talent, and it's what makes us the best because we're all different in some ways. Thank you.
We're going to get to candidate Fimbres in a second, but candidate Shioura, could you give a 2-minute introduction to who you are and how you'd like the voters to feel about you?
First and foremost, I'm a native Californian. I was born in San Diego. And just as important, my father came from Japan. I'm a son of an immigrant. So, you know, I look at things differently. I had the privilege of working in high school, middle school, elementary as an educator. So I see what works and what doesn't work. I also see that now more than ever, we need bold new ideas, technology in education, in business, in state government, and at the local level. Also, I do realize the privilege of being meeting different people from all over the world in California that have confided in me. What if California was a sovereign country? How great and wonderful it would be. I met native Californians born here in service, Army, Navy, Marines, Coast Guard, Space Force. And they all said to me how wonderful it would be that if and when California became a country. Not so much because, oh, it's the thing to say, merely because it does make fiscal, economic sense to so many people. There's a few elected officials that have told me the same thing in private. They clearly said, don't say this out loud. Yes, California is out loud and proud. There's no hiding that. I just want to say that what makes me different is that as a native Californian, I'm here to really shake things up and answer the difficult, challenging questions to the best of my capability, because we are all Californians in some way. So I encourage you to visit my website, www.governor.life.
Veronika's device got undone. Thank you, candidate Shioura. You can stay for the rest of the meeting if you'd like, but I know you're a busy man. You don't have to.
Questions in? Sure. Ask any questions.
Sure. Well, we're gonna wrap up this segment, and then we're gonna go to the upcoming recall debate. I do want to give a quick bio of Veronika. You heard some of it.
So happy to go today.
Yes, it was great to see two different candidates here saying that they would be willing to agree to the statement going forward, and that yes, California could publicly be friendly, is the phrase we're using. Veronika is a Green Party candidate. She's out of the Bay Area. She is well known. Oh, hold on. There we go, Veronika.
Hi, Veronika.
That's my fault. Okay, Veronika.
Is that me or you?
Yes, you are on. Could you give a 2-minute introduction to how you'd like the voters to see you? I know you already did it, and I apologize. I was forgetful this morning. Veronika, could you introduce yourself, how you'd like people to think about you in 2 minutes?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Veronika. Let's see, I can never get this camera thing right. My name is Veronika Fimbres. I'm 68 years of age. I came here from Detroit, Michigan in 1972 when I joined the Navy. I got my education around politics when I was watching Willie Brown while I was in Indiana, and I was following his election. And when I got here, I came in '96 to save my life. I'm living with AIDS, but I'm living with AIDS, so I'm thriving. And I came here to save my life, which evidently worked. I've started volunteering, and then I got noticed for my volunteering. I received awards that same year I got here. And then I was tapped by Willie Brown to be part of his Ryan White Care Council. And then I was tapped by Willie Brown's office to be part of his Lavender Committee for his reelection. And so that got my involvement in politics. I was appointed by the Board of Supervisors as Veterans Affairs Commissioner. I applied twice because the first time I didn't get it, they put a person that had been there before back there. And so I was encouraged by Supervisor Tom Amiano to come back. And so rather than be discouraged, I came back. I served for the Board of Supervisors, and then I served at the pleasure of Willie Brown, Gavin Newsom, and the late Mayor Ed Lee. I served on the Veterans Affairs Commission, where I was appointed for over 14 years and 8 months. I've helped the veteran community in many ways. I've helped my community in many ways. I like to think of myself as fair and equitable. I'm compassionate. I'm a good listener, and I care. People, strangers on the street walk up to me. You look like somebody I can trust. Can I tell you this? I said, be careful what you tell me. You want to be careful what you say, because I'm a reporting agent. As a nurse, if you say something wrong, I'm going to really have to report it. But, I feel good about the ability to have that compassion where people, strangers, talk to me, people I've never seen before. It happens wherever I go. People say stuff to me, nice things, very, very nice things, and that makes me feel good. It means that my energy from the universe is working and doing what I'm supposed to do, which is to not just spread love, but spread equity, knowledge, which is power, and be open to everything. I'm open to new ideas. And remember this, nobody does anything alone. Nobody does anything alone. So even if I was governor, I need everybody to help me be the best governor, not just not in my head, but out amongst the people. I need everybody to be a part of it. That's it.
We'll allow a few questions of the candidates. Any questions for either candidate? We'll make sure each candidate is asked the same number.
I have a question, because I would hope, Veronika, thank you for being a nurse and such a compassionate angel to so many people. We need more people like you, absolutely. But I would hope, would you consider my plan to help inner city kids, instead of going juvie, help them enlist in the merchant marines, no, the cargo ships, not the military part, not the U.S. Marines, but merchant marines. This way, instead of going to juvie, we could help inner city kids get out of that hot mess they're in, the gangs and the drugs, to give them an alternative to going to juvie but have them enlisted in the Merchant Marines.
That's a question to you, Veronika. How do you feel about candidate Shioura's plan for wayward youth to go into the Merchant Marines?
I don't know. I don't know how I feel about your plan. I think that anything that is a positive plan for kids is a positive thing. So if it works to get them off the street, but I still don't think you can take away their choice. I think you have to allow them to make that decision of what they prefer. But I think there's other alternatives. Certainly, group youth homes are not what they're supposed to be. I mean, we see proof of that in what's happening to the Indigenous people in Canada, where they try to erase them and teach them the white culture, and all those Indigenous kids are found dead and buried in the yard all around the school. I think that we have to just work with kids and see what they want. You have to center yourself with them and ask them, how would you do it? Have a town hall with the kids and say, how would you fix your situation? And then listen to what they have to say. I think that your idea is a good one. But it's by choice if that's what they want. I think anything that pulls a child from boys and girls clubs to anything that gives them an alternative to being out on the street, but you have to make it interesting and you have to make it fascinating. I like the youth farms where they get to experience horses and agriculture. I like those kind of things because it teaches them a craft or how to farm. And then there's other programs too, but that would be one of them. That could be one of many.
Thank you.
Veronika, do you have a question for Fuji? Just to be fair. You don't have to, but I'm big on fair.
No, I know you're big on fair, and I like that. That's one of your many qualities. I would. What do you think of my idea around prostitution? What did you think of that?
Oh, the legalization of it.
Yes.
At this moment in time, I am not for it. I respectfully disagree at the moment. And that should be a very important topic to be discussed for an entire debate because it's so complex.
Okay. I'm satisfied with that answer.
Any other questions from anybody in the audience or anyone here at the meeting for the two candidates? Otherwise, we will wrap up this segment. Fuji.
I will say that we are different on so many ways, Veronika and I, but I think we all agree that the residents, the voters, the Californians have a right to vote on if and when California become a sovereign country. We should not take away their right to vote on that important issue. We agree on that.
Yes, we do.
We'll leave it there. I hope you all see that we have candidates who have different political opinions, but still share this one concept. And, you know, Nicholas Wildstar is also another person. He has wildly different opinions than candidate Shioura and Fimbres. Marinelli's another one. He also has very different opinions. It's a big tent. All you have to do is believe in California values. We'll leave it there. I'm going to wrap up this segment. Thank you both. You are allowed to stay. You don't have to. And we're going to go now to news about the recall election. So this Saturday, this is why we were late by a few minutes, and I was not able to do all the sound checks and testing to make sure the whole studio was set up as we do normally. We're very big on appearing to be hyper professional here. I apologize to the audience for our late response and our lack of prep work for this meeting. It is unusual if you watch the previous meetings, as you can see. Very pleased to announce Tom Elias, the reporter who started the 2003 recall election, has agreed to co-moderate and host the upcoming Yes California Recall Candidates debate this Saturday, July 24th at 10 a.m. Katie Grimes, the editor of California Globe, has agreed to send questions directly to the candidates, which will likely be covered in her newspaper. Elias, in addition to being the reporter who started the 2003 recall election, also is editor of California Focus. So California Focus and California Globe, 2 different major policy magazines will be involved in the Yes California Recall debate this Saturday, July 24th at 10 a.m. We have been in talks with Kevin Kiley and his campaign manager. Additionally, I believe James Hennig, Diego Martinez, and a few other people have already confirmed. We've also been on the phone with Joel Ventresca, who was the 3rd highest ranked candidate for the San Francisco mayoral election. He is also the highest ranked member of the Democratic Party to meet the recall election. He's also willing to come to the debate. In addition to Doug Osee, former Congress member and 3rd highest ranked conservative against Newsom, according to the news, has also confirmed that he'll be here July 24th. So we're going to have the top Democratic candidate. We're going to have one of the top 3 Republican candidates. We're going to have 2 different policy newspaper editors, and one of them started the previous debate. That's this Saturday, July 24th. Literally, all of that was organized this morning between, 8:30 and 11:20. So apologize, but that's why we're doing it. It will be the biggest debate that we've had, and all recall candidates benefit from any Yes California debate because you were in previous debates. So when people learn about the Yes California recall debates, they go and watch all of them. So promotion of any future debate helps people see you in previous debates. Spreading word about the Yes California recall debates helps all candidates who have appeared in them. We are very pleased to be able to confirm that 12 of the 41 qualified candidates for appearing on the ballot in September on the 15th have participated in the Yes Cal debates or indicated that they wanted to. That's 25% of all qualified candidates have participated in our debates and said that they would want to. We have hosted more debates than anyone, with more candidates than anyone, and nobody else is having the reporter who started the 2003 recall election in their debates. We're very proud of the success that we've had, and it couldn't have happened without you, members of Yes California, helping to spread the word. We would ask that you help to spread the word about this debate this Saturday, July 24th at 10 a.m. with Joel Ventresca, the top Democrat, Doug Ose, one of the top 3 Republicans, Tom Elias, the reporter who started the 2003 recall, and the editor of California Globe. That's the big news. Very pleased to announce that all of that came together this morning. We will have more coming out this week. And we may have a few more debates. We'll see. Other people are trying to host debates or they're talking about it. To date, Yes is basically the only place to really do this. There's a Patriots debate circle out of Corona, but that's largely for hardcore conservative candidates. We have worked hard to make sure that we are equally friendly to Republicans, Tea Party, Democrats, Green members, independents, or just general progressives. No one else is doing it. So we're proud to do that. We think it's a service to the people of California.
It is. It is.
Hey, thank you.
Work hard.
I have a question for you, Marcus.
Yeah.
Do you know of any media outlet or media platform that has interviewed all known political party candidates, Republican, Democrat, Independent, well, no party, but also like American Solidarity, Green Party, on one show?
No.
Or are you just California?
It appears, I'm not trying to toot our own horn too much, but it does appear, because we jumped into this months ago, and because we said that we're going to be open to everybody who filed paperwork, we appear to be the only group to have contacted and been in touch with this many candidates and had this many debates. Other people are starting to launch debates now, but we've been at this 3 months. We're on our 7th one, and we're in contact with 25% of all the candidates. Other people may try to catch up, but they're going to have a tough time because you're jumping in the race late, and we were the only ones for months.
So if you interviewed the most candidates, would it be fair to say that only Yes California interviewed the most minorities of any other media platform?
That's definitively so. The other debates are hosted by hardcore recall patriot coalitions, which is fine, but they typically only have Caucasian males. Of course, not exclusively, but if you look at those debates, it's like 80% Caucasian males. We have reached out to everybody, and we are very proud that when you look at the Yes California debates for recall candidates of California, they look like California.
Hey,
Right?
yeah.
I mean, this is an internal meeting, so I got to be a little bit more honest. I have to be Mr. Neutral at the recall debates, but
Are you insinuating that there's more than one race in California?
I'm just going to go off here for a second because this is an internal meeting. This is not recall debates where I keep all this bottled up, but it's ridiculous. Here's Newsom, a Caucasian male in 40 or 50 from a privileged background. Who are the top candidates against him? Doug Ost, who's a nice guy. Caitlyn Jenner.
It was a hot mess.
Kevin Faulconer, and John Cox. Now, I understand Caitlyn Jenner is now a woman. Totally respect that. But let's also pay attention to the demographics. Newsom, Jenner, Cox, Faulconer, Osi. What do these people all have in common? They're the same age. They're the same gender, originally, at least. And they're all old white males from privileged backgrounds. That is 15% of the California population. White males from I study demographics. White males from a privileged background who are over 45 is less than 15% of the total population. And those are the top 5 candidates that you get to hear about. You don't hear about Asian people. You don't hear about African Americans. You don't hear about Latinos. You don't hear about anything. And I'm like, why is it that it's 2021 in California and the top 5 candidates that everyone hears about are basically all old white privileged men who represent a tiny fraction of the actual people of California? How does that happen?
Can I just say one thing?
Yes, please.
You know, it goes to show you how out of touch these people are from reality. They are so far from reality. They don't know how much. I don't know when the last time was Gavin went to the store to buy a gallon of milk, but remember that old thing when they sent Bush went to go get, they talked to him about milk and like, oh, it must cost $5 and something. You have to show your ID. And like, who does that? That's not how you get milk. You don't have to show ID to get milk. And you know, I mean, it's just insane. These are people that want to rule everyone, but they don't know anything about anyone. And that is the bottom line. They're out of touch with the people that walk the streets, that the people that live here in the state.
Hey, you're calling from the San Francisco area. Marcus is on the Fresno area. I'm around the Los Angeles area. Well, the name sounds Norwegian to me.
It's a little ridiculous. You can look at who are the top candidates and how much of California they represent, and they don't. The biggest minority that you've heard about is Larry Elder, who's a hardcore conservative. So, and he jumped in at the last minute, and I heard that they were even acting like he didn't qualify. So they were even mentioning like, oh, he didn't, which he did. But in the news, they were going, oh, this guy's not even going to be in the race as of like the day before the qualifications were done. So even then, a last minute addition of somebody who's not ethnically Caucasian, very last minute, very haphazard, very little coverage of him. And I don't know how this represents California. I don't know how, as Californians, we can be proud that we have. I mean, you don't have to be a minority to be governor of California, period. Let me get that straight. But how are we as Californians saying that we have a functional democracy when the top candidates represent about 15% or 10% of our total population, and 90% of Californians and voters don't see anyone who looks like them at all? How's that representative? How's that a democracy? How's that a government of the people? And how the hell does that happen in California? That's me being honest. You won't see that in the debates. This is real Marcus. And
this is 2021, not 1920.
Exactly.
Exactly.
That's okay. That's how it was. Okay. Jim Crow laws, but 1921 and 2021, we have to decide what century are we living in.
And I do want to say something about your addressing of Caitlyn Jenner. When you talk about people have dead named her, and that's what it's called when you talk about their old name. It's called dead naming. Caitlyn Jenner, I felt so, my heart went out to her, and I even wrote her and told her the way they treated her at her own CPAC was despicable. And her friends on her own TV show said, how can you be Republican? They don't like transgenders. They don't like anybody unless they're white and unless they're them. And I told her, the guy took a picture with her, with some guy and his family, kids took pictures. And as she was leaving, and she was courteous, took pictures with him, they said, hey, Bruce, that's dead naming her. And then later he was heard on tape saying fucking freak. That hurt my heart. That broke my heart for her, because she doesn't know how it is to be on the streets. I've been called everything, but I'm made of tough metal. I have enough strength that I can handle it. I let it roll right off my back, unless it becomes too much, and then I'll engage them, which they really will be sorry for. So I try not to go there. But that was wrong of them to dead name her and to call her out of her gender. She is now a trans woman, and she should be respected for that. But her own party does not respect her. She's a freak to them, and it's unfortunate. She doesn't realize she can spend all the money she wants. She's out of touch more than anybody, just as much as Gavin is. She's talking about, when I walk down the street in LA and I have to drive around homelessness and go to my plane in the shelter in the plane in the airport, and I fly over the city. Nobody wants to hear that. Nobody cares about that. We don't have planes. I don't have one out back or anything. She is out of touch, and this is what the Republicans, and I call them Trump-publicans, this is what they stand for. And we've had people on this debate with Marcus who have been Republican. Like he said, he's equitable. Whoever wants to speak can speak. And the first words out of his mouth was the wall. And he was Latino. I was like, what the fuck, dude? You're Latino and you want to build a wall. California belonged to Mexico before it belonged to us. Well, and you're trying to lock them out? It just doesn't make sense to me. So I support all residents of this state. And I like us being a sanctuary state. But we have a lot of work to do. A lot of work to do. That's it.
Oh, we do. We do. I love California. I think the most progressive, accepting place in the world. But obviously, racism still exists. Bigotry still exists. Discrimination still exists. I hope I never come across as saying there aren't issues that we have to work on that are serious, while I celebrate how awesome we are with diversity. I think we're further along than everybody, but I think we haven't reached the finish line. That's how I like to put it. So there's a lot more work to do. Please, we still have a Black Lives Matter interface issue with the police. We still have discrimination against LGBTQ, etc. There's still discrimination against Asian Pacific Islander people. Latinos are still somewhat discriminated against. Yes, work to do. I'm still proud of California, but we have a lot of work to do. Absolutely. And yeah, I will say that I just want to go on record saying that the person who said that to Caitlyn Jenner should leave California. You do not represent us. You obviously don't understand us here. And I'm personally asking whoever said that to Caitlyn Jenner to leave California and never come back, because you do not represent us. And clearly you don't have a clue what this place is about. You don't have to like Caitlyn Jenner, but that sort of behavior is not acceptable here. Leave California, whoever you are, and never return. Marcus Ruiz Evans. I said that. Okay. We're going to go now to the main part of the show. The candidates can stay. You don't have to, but we're going to get to the main part now that we normally do. And let me do this real quick. So just a second.
I will check. Sound check.
Yeah, we're going to go to the main part of the show now. The candidates can stay. You don't have to, but you can see what we kind of talk about a lot.
I do want to leave one last thing with Veronika as food for thought. Veronika,
Yeah.
just to let you know, in California election law, they do allow international neutral observers for the election.
You mean to come and watch our elections?
Yes, I'm in favor of it. More transparency, the better. That's something for you and the other candidates to decide, but I just wanted to throw that out there.
Well, I would say this about I would say this about what you propose. It's a sound idea because look, for many years we've gone to other countries where we try to promote democracy and we oversee their elections. And in lieu of this fraud that they're doing in Arizona and these fraudits that are going around and they're trying to have in Pennsylvania, everywhere else. It's okay to me if we have international people to come and oversee our election. But number one, we have been on point with our election. We haven't had fraud and all this other stuff. But if people want to see it, that's fine. I do not agree with the method they're using in Texas to have people with long rifles and stuff over you, looking over your shoulder, trying to monitor your vote because it's a form of intimidation to me, and that is wrong. The votes need to be, and I really wish they passed these bills and come on with it because they need to. We need a federal law so that elections will be you can get the day off. You get a day off. Everybody can vote because it's all about our democracy, and we are fighting to keep it. Because if it's up to Trump Republicans, we'll be an autocracy. So I'm okay with that. It was my final answer. That's fine with me. If international people want to observe our elections, that's fine. It's how they observe them. I'm against Americans observing our election. I'm certainly against people with long rifles and all that stuff that they're doing in other states, overseeing the elections and on the ballot and to intimidate you. So that's it. It sounds fine with me. I'm okay, but I don't think we need it in California. It's needed in states where there's not where Trump Republicans are not prevalent because it's all a Trump Republican thing.
Well, I would like it here in California. I can't. Yeah, I can't talk about other states, but in California, I would like to see it.
Why do you want? Why do you want that in California?
I don't know. Speaking election.
Your connections.
Other states, I don't know if they do. Yeah, I don't know if they allow it in other states, but I do know they allow it here in California.
Why do you want it?
So yes.
Why do you want it?
Transparency. Transparency. I just feel that we should be concerned with the election process, regardless if it's Republican or Democrat candidates. It's beyond that for me. GOP, DNC, it's beyond political party level. I just want an election for everybody to be fair and square. And I just want all the candidates to have a fair, open election, regardless of party. And that's how I stand as an independent. So I want a fair election for you, for the other candidates, irrespective of what party. But that's just, speaking as an independent. So.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
I see where you stand, and thank you for sharing that. I'm okay if it comes to that, but I don't think it's necessary. I think we conduct fair and equal elections, and until it's shown to me that we haven't, I'm okay with it being like it is. And I want ranked choice voting for all the states, up and down the ballot.
We promoted ranked choice voting with Mike Feinstein last year, and we were proud to do so. Okay, we're gonna get to the main part of the show. Thank you all for being here.
Could I add one quick little thing, Marcus?
Sure.
So recently it has come to my attention that the United States legal system right now, given COVID, pandemia, whatnot, people can travel from the United States if they have been vaccinated to Europe. but not the other way around. The United States is not allowing vaccinated Europeans in, even though vaccinated Americans are allowed into Europe. That means that these international observers that we are requesting are actually unable to even come here and help us assure the highest level of democratic due process that we, would like. So
That's an excellent point. I would recommend that in San Francisco and Los Angeles, because we have so many consulates, foreign consulates, so many. I would love to have international observers from the Los Angeles Romanian consulate, the Los Angeles German consulate, the Los Angeles South African consulate, if there is one from South Africa, I'm pretty sure there is. As many international observers, to be fair. I would love to have our international consulates in San Francisco and Los Angeles, those two major metropolitan areas, to participate equally in our gubernatorial recall election. I think it'll be a great gold standard for other states to follow. And in many ways, California, across the country anyway, as well. I'm all for it. And I'm just saying this because I have family and friends that are Republican and Democrat, and boy, do they fight like cats and dogs. But at the end of the day, I like to say I'm a Californian.
Thank you all. Thank you all. I'm going to get to the main part of the meeting. I really appreciate everyone's participation.
Marcus, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Veronika. Thank you, everybody.
Nice meeting you. And
pleasure, as always. Pleasure.
All right. Take care.
As we can see that we have many candidates and they have different opinions on a wide variety of issues, and that's great. Californians have many opinions on a wide variety of issues, and we love being open to all of them. I guess we lost both candidates. Damn, I was going to try to show them this information. Oh, well. Okay. Whoops, I was hoping they'd be here. Okay. Let's just get to it. Oh, hold on here. Maybe they are here. Oh, Veronika is here. Okay. Okay. I'm sorry. 1 second. Technical issues. Kick guest. Okay. Give me 1 second. I wanted Fuji to be here to see this. Let me see if I can get him back. One second, and we will start with the rest of the show. Yes, sorry, a lot going on today. Unable to contact candidate Shioura. Let's just get started. Here we go. So every week here at Yes California, we like to talk about, well, why are you talking about California might be a nation? And why are you talking about California may need to think about going it alone? So that we can show that this is a concept that Californians are constantly thinking about, and that it is a reasonable conversation to have. As we call it, the most important conversation Californians can have. This is an article that came out this week, July 17th. Letters to the editor. Rest of U.S. to California, don't even think of taking more of our water. And what they're talking about was this originally appeared in the Los Angeles Times newspaper. And it was an article about Californians saying, hey, they'd like to build a pipeline from the Mississippi River to California to help with our water. And the LA Times editorial board was, whoa, blown away by many Americans saying, tough, you don't get anything. For example, Californians must be the greediest people on the planet. Why don't you move to where the water is instead of trying to steal it from others? This is how an American from Alabama responded to Californians, supposedly fellow Americans, asking for help for water from Californians. There's a couple more comments. Here's one of my favorite ones. California has banned almost all taxpayer-funded travel to multiple states in this country, and now you think the rest of us should save your bacon. So Idaho, Missouri, Mississippi, etc., New Hampshire, Alabama. These are people that were saying, tough, California, we don't really feel you're us, and we don't think you need anything, even though you're going through a drought. And it was so bad that the LA Times had to go, whoa, we need to make an article about how the rest of America responded to California. That's the LA Times saying that, not Yes, California. We did not make them write this article. We did not make Americans respond this way. We've just been saying this is the attitude that exists. Now, one of the other things is that everybody said, well, hey, Donald Trump was horrible, but now that Joe Biden's here, everything's going to be just fine. Well, actually, it turns out that's not true. The Biden-Harris administration has had many, many months to get on issues, and one of the things that they fell completely through was lack of firefighting support as California goes into one of the worst droughts ever, which will result in the largest forest fires ever. So here we are. No federal support, super massive lack of federal support to fight the wildfires, which means they're going to be super horrible. When we had a lack of federal assistance under Donald Trump, Californians erupted in anger. How dare he? Same thing with Joe Biden. We're not going to get the support we need. Our forests are going to burn down. The federal government has the money. They're passing out stimulus checks in trillions of dollars, and we can't get enough money to have firefighters when they own 50% of the landmass. California is one of about 10 states where that much land is owned by the federal government. It's not a problem every state deals with. Most states have 5% owned by the feds. We have 50. And knowing that we have so much land by the feds, here's the Democrats with one from California, and we can't get enough federal help for one of the biggest problems we face. Here's another survey, came out recently. This was covered in international news. It says there's a new survey showing that 47% of Democrats in the Pacific region are open to secession. This came out this week. It's talking a lot about support in the South, but they also said nearly half of Democrats in the Pacific region, 47%, also back independence. Let me show you a map that they were showing right here. There it is, 47% of people, including Hawaii, Alaska, California, Washington, and Oregon. Now, the interesting thing about there is when you look at the populations, 85% of that survey is Californians. When you add the people in Oregon, Washington, Alaska, Hawaii, compared to Californians, 80% of this survey that said 47% of Democrats are willing to secede came from Californians alone. This survey came out very recently. 47% is interesting because in February 2017, Reuters Ipsos and Stanford said that 47.5% of all Californians were willing to discuss full-blown secession. Now we have another survey 3 years later with that same number. And this came out this week. Again, we did not make the survey, we didn't organize this, and we certainly didn't answer the survey. Here's another thing. CNN is talking about half of America believes in deadly conspiracy theories. And basically what they concluded was a new poll from Monmouth University, which is very respectable, new poll, shows that about 50% of the country believes the Biden election was fair, and 50% of the country believes in vaccines. CNN concludes this week, it turns out that we're not just a 50-50 country when it comes to elections, we're a 50-50 country when it comes to belief in science and truth about this election. They're talking about half of America won't get behind vaccines and won't back up this election, and how that is destructive to national security. This is CNN saying, wow, America is so polarized, you can't get half of them. You can't get them to agree. It's like literally 50-50 split. CNN is saying that's so bad, they had to cover that. Last week, we covered this. A Harris poll came out for July 4th. And it showed that only 36% of people under 40 actually respond well to the American flag. 36% of people under 40 respond well to the American flag, and about 74% of all Americans under the age of 40 do not respond well to advertising using the American flag. Total lack of patriotism. Again, we didn't make this happen. That's the Harris Marketing Poll. It is also matched by this poll by the INITIPP, showing 36% of Americans asked if they're proud to be an American, said yes. 74% of people under 40, according to this poll, are not proud to be an American. 74% of people under 40 don't respond well to the American flag. Half of America is opposed to the other half. 47% of liberals and Californians and people on the West Coast said this week they'd back secession. The California government is not going to receive help from the Biden-Harris administration on the worst issue we have. And this week, the people of the Los Angeles Times said, wow, it appears Americans don't like us, view us as foreigners, and don't want to do anything to help us. We didn't make this up. We just report these facts. By the way, the news won't. So every week, we like to bring this news to you to let you know about the hard truths that are out there and that showcase that this is not a crazy radical conversation. This is happening. I recall a few weeks ago, the Atlantic magazine, a top policy magazine, had a reporter say, I don't feel that I'm an American. I feel that I'm a Californian. I didn't make that person write that. I never even met that writer. And that was printed in the Atlantic magazine, a top policy magazine, 2 weeks ago. So you add all this up, what it points to is a lot of the stuff we've said here at Yes California. But don't want to just leave it there. Let's show you some of the incredible success we're going to have.
After you're done showing that, I'd like to add a couple of important speaking points as far
please.
as drought, wildfire, and the ultimate consequences.
Sure.
Oh, should I just do it now then?
Yes, go ahead and do it now. And then we'll get to activist projects we have planned in the future.
So while people can easily see drought, they can easily see wildfire, the thing that most people do not talk about is the ultimate long game consequence of all of this. So Nestle has been operating for quite a long time on an expired permit, bottling up the groundwater of California that California's taxpayers pay for. I'm 35, and they've been doing it longer than I have been alive. For 4.5 decades or so, they have been doing this, getting worse, 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 while they continue to bottle our water and sell it back to us for like 10 times more than we ever paid for it to the state. So there's that part to consider. And there's also the part that no matter who is doing what with the water, the fact is the water shortage is real. And that means our crops are going to suffer. California is one of the largest agricultural entities in the world. It is by far the #1 agricultural production source of all of the United States of America. Of the top 10 most in-demand agricultural products in America, California is the #1 producer of all 10 of them. So when Americans say they don't care about California burning, California being under drought, what they're forgetting is that means they are going to starve. And this shows how disconnected they really are from us. We really are from them. California is so far disconnected from America that America doesn't realize their breadbasket in the Midwest is about 1/3 of America's food supply. It's a good chunk, yeah, but most of your food and all them USDA goods, some 60% or so last time I looked, and that was a few years back, but some 60% of USDA goods are actually California produce. So, you know, it's sad to think that all of those, you know, what's 386 minus the roughly 40 million, it's about 346 million people that are going to have a lot less food supply, whether California goes independent or not, because they don't care that we're under heavy drought. They don't care that drought is going to cause wildfires and burn up all these federal forests that have been neglected for generations. And all of that fire, all of that soot and ash, and the lack of water, yeah, you can pretty much assure no crop yield, or very, very, very little crop yield coming from California. This is bad for everyone, whether you're American, Californian, or someone from anywhere else in the world. This is bad. And the fact that Americans don't care, and they care enough to say, hey, screw you, California, that says a lot right there. And that should be hitting home to everyone in California.
Great analysis. Totally agree. A few more things as we like to cover. So let me show this. This is partly what we talk about. So a federal judge ruled against the DACA program, throwing immigrant protections in doubt. That happened this week. A Texas federal judge said DACA is not right, and so now DACA is in question in California. California is very big on DACA. We have the most undocumented immigrants now, and because one judge in Texas says he doesn't like it, the whole thing shut down. This is part of the system that we're with. Also want to point out this article showing that, you know, when Trump was around, California loved saying we're going to do our own thing. We're going to not follow the federal directives. And many Californians said, well, that's just because of Trump. Well, it turns out it's not. California is ignoring the Biden administration on the coronavirus. So just like California famously under Gavin Newsom said that we're going to ignore federal directions on the coronavirus under Trump, they're now saying to the Biden administration the exact same thing. This is happening so many times that the San Francisco News is saying this isn't the first time the state hasn't directly aligned with the federal government. They're beginning to now say that it's interesting. Also want to point out this, kind of fun. Hold on a second. Wait for it. Everybody get that? So that was Larry Elder live on Fox News referring to California as a nation. Now, maybe it was just a slip of the tongue, but who's held the most debates of recall candidates? Yes, California. Who's had the most candidates into debates? Yes, California. Who wrote the definitive article about the unfair recall election rules in California Globe? It was us at Yes, California. So it's not impossible that Larry Elder, when looking into deciding if he was going to even run, looked at our debates, since they were the only place to really see the other candidates, and read some of our articles because we were putting the information out there. And here he is on Fox News talking about California, and he accidentally refers to it as a nation. By the way, Willie Brown, a Democrat, also referred to California as a nation, and also said in 2017 that California could survive on its own. Willie Brown said that. Okay, now we're going to get to success of the Yes California movement. Let me show you this here. We're very pleased to show this. So this is an article that came out in the Los Angeles Times. It talks about the recall election. This is Dan Kapelowitz. He has been in multiple Yes California debates. He personally told the Los Angeles Times reporters about our recall debates and made sure that they were informed. So the LA Times reporters do know about the Yes California debates, and they were informed by Dan. Dan was in our debates, and now here he is in the news. We are very proud to provide a platform for him to work out his talking points. Additionally, want to point out Doug Ossie has been in our talks for our debates. Kevin Kiley has been in talks for our debates. And one more. That's Louis Wong right there, who's also been in our debates. So about half of the people mentioned in this article about the LA Times recall candidates were in the Yes California debates. Very pleased to have done that. And upcoming. So we will be having debates for recall candidates with the news editors of California Focus and California Globe. That was arranged today. Here are the 12 candidates who were part of the Yes California previous debates and who also qualified: Joel Ventresca, Kevin Kiley, Dan Kapelowitz, David Ramonte, James Hannick, John Drake, Diego Martinez, Adam Papagon, Jenny Ray LaRue, Chauncey Killens, Nicholas Wildstar, Doug Oss. About 12 out of 41 people, or 25% of all registered candidates, participated in our debates or were open to the idea. We're very proud of that success. Other projects coming will be, as you saw today, we are going to be supporting anybody running for the California governor who says that Californians have the right to vote. We will also be releasing certified courses on the laws regarding independence very soon. And we will have the Yes California non-fungible token using Ethereum released very soon. So we're going to have an NFT coming out. We're going to have courses coming out. We're going to have more candidates coming out, and we're going to have more debates coming out. Also, we had the meeting with the Texas Independence Movement, the largest meeting between two independence movements anywhere in America. So thank you very much. Mike, I see you saying you can't hear anything. My mic is on.
I believe that was for the video you played with the Freudian slip of this nation, I mean state.
I didn't hear him either. He was mumbling.
Oh, let me see if I can.
The audio for some reason sometimes on StreamYard, and like I said earlier, pros and cons for Zoom, pros and cons for StreamYard. Zoom, we didn't really have that problem with the audio somehow not coming through so properly with the screen share. It just doesn't allow for the nifty banners and being able to stream simultaneously across many different platforms, which was kind of the big seller for us.
I'll replay it. Give me a second here to cue it up, just so everyone can see that this actually did happen.
Yeah, and I can, being the one who found it and shared that with Marcus, I can give a brief little synopsis, is that this guy clearly has not been involved with us over all these years, yet is also just as clearly saying nearly verbatim our talking points that we have been saying recently, bringing up all sorts of different, and like Marcus said, it's not unreasonable to think that someone looking to enter the race for governor would want to go and do some research, and being that there's only one real viable place to find a wealth of this information, it is pretty reasonable to think that he ran across us, and that would, kind kind of stand to reason that, yeah, a lot of those talking points were stuff that he noticed that we're saying and he agrees with. Oh, yes, this is accurate. Wow. And then being in that kind of repeating the message mode, he repeated the word nation rather than state.
Yeah.
Now, in all fairness, I do have to point out for people who might bring it up, maybe the guy has aspirations to be president one day, and so he was like, you know, in that presidential mode or something. Hey, you know, fair enough, good point. It's plausible. I think it is much more likely that he used our talking points because he agreed with them.
Yeah, I have to point this out so that people don't call me afterwards. We are not saying we agree with everything Larry Elder says. We are not saying we are pro Larry Elder fans. We're not saying everything he says we agree with at all. What we're saying is in this 1 2-minute segment, he appears to use some of the talking points we've used, and he uses California as a nation, which indicates maybe he saw our stuff. And that's a reasonable assumption given that we're the only ones pumping out so much material. Again, we are not endorsing Larry Elders. We are not saying we agree with everything he says. Just want to be very clear. Now let me turn up the volume. Let's hear this. You're going to hear some propaganda. I'm sorry. I just want to let you to hear one point. Again, we are not endorsing everything Larry Elder says. I'm just trying to showcase one thing he said.
It's still, you can't hear.
Did everyone hear that? For the first time in this nation's history, in the state's history.
No, it was pretty. It was pretty garbled, honestly. I think it's okay though. I think we've described it. We've shown it. If anyone has any further wondering, they could feel free to check it out. I was actually like, you know, this is one of those awesome things. When I ran across it, my initial knee-jerk reaction to like Fox, CNN, Rachel Maddow, right? Knee-jerk reaction is you go away. But being in political analysis, right, I have to pay attention to everything that everyone is saying and doing. I have to take it all into account, which means that when Fox comes up, I have to hit play. And this is one of those times where, hey, I'm glad I did, because this is a great example of, yes, California having so large of, you know, 1/3 of the nation's most populous state. That's not a small figure. And we've successfully kind of steered the conversation politically, not making it all, you know, everything's hardcore independence now, but a reasonable middle ground. Hey, let's talk about things, discuss things. There are problems. Let's figure out some solutions. You know, I think people are really starting to take notice of that, and starting to come around, as you know, as referenced in the fact that we're getting more big names coming out now. We got Doug Ost. We got, yeah. So I'd say this is one of those hashtag winning moments.
I just posted the link in private chat and in comments. So if you're watching on YouTube, you can see the comments with the link. You can type it. If you're here in the chat, you can go to private chat and click on the link and you can watch it. It's about 50 seconds in. Also, if you can do neither one, look at the title bar. The title of that show is Larry Elder Running for California Governor on July 14th, 2021 on Fox News. So you can type in that title, you can click those links, see the video, turn it about 50 seconds, 45 seconds in, and you'll see him refer to California as a nation. Well, we have 10 minutes left before hard close at 1 o'clock. I have covered all of the reasons why we have this conversation. You have seen some of the action items we have planned. You've met some of the people coming into the conversation. And we've talked about some of the projects that are coming up in the future. I'm going to turn it over to anyone else about anything else, Yes California related, projects they're working on, questions they'd like to ask, any statements they'd like to make. It's open session for the next few minutes until we close at 1 o'clock.
Yeah, real quick, for the NFT, crypto, and blockchain project that we've been working on, anyone who didn't attend CALEXIT Congress session a couple months ago, you can go back and find where we were talking about starting up our own NFT, our own cryptocurrency, and potentially doing our own blockchain programming that we could then, you know, basically use it like Ethereum. Other people can lease it out and it would generate revenue for the organization so that we can do what we need to do. The CALEXIT coin has been officially announced. Our ambassador to the people of Russia, who is over in Moscow currently, recently gave an interview. I'm not sure if he was at our cultural embassy over there or not, but he gave a wonderful interview, and during that interview, he officially announced that CALEXIT coin is coming. It was on Jenny Q's Twitter and podcast stream, I think it was. Pardon me if I'm totally getting that wrong. But yeah, the hashtag CALEXIT to the moon is going to be how we promote and follow. We're going to try and tag that onto everything to do with this so that it will be easy for anyone and everyone to find. So CALEXIT to the moon, hashtag, follow along, great things are coming.
Yeah, also about that. So Yes California has a global reputation. We got really big in 2017 with the election of the orange one, who will not be named. And because of that, we were able to get global recognition. I mean, literally Japan, France, England, Germany, everybody covered this, China, the Philippines, etc. So one of the people who lives in India reached out to Yes California and said, hey, I'm going to be moving to California soon. We in India know about the CALEXIT movement, and I'd like to be part. So a data scientist out of India named Dewank Mahajan reached out to Yes California, asked to join, and then we worked with them on this idea for a non-fungible token. To my knowledge, the non-fungible token will be sold using Rarible. It will be powered by Ethereum, not the classic Ethereum, the new Ethereum. It should be released soon. The price will probably be $100 per NFT token, and we will have maybe 1,000 to 1,500 of them available. Still working on the details, but we're proud to be one of the few activist organizations to have an NFT. Frankly, it's something that's difficult to make, and most activists are not able to have the organizational skills to do it. And we were proud to be able to use our international outreach and work with people on multiple continents who wanted to work with Yes California exclusively on this project and deliver this to you. It'll be coming soon. Let me show you one mock-up graphic we have. This is the graphic we're looking at. We have other ideas, but this is the CALEXIT NFT. That's the graphic we're designing. We're working on other publicity vehicles, and I will leave it there. Any other comments from anyone about anything? We got 5 minutes, then we're going to close the show.
Quick question. There's a gubernatorial recall debate after this, yes or no?
No. We ended the gubernatorial recall debates that are normally happening because the qualifications for being a candidate were done Friday at midnight. So to have a debate with candidates that we could not confirm were viable candidates would reduce the professionalism of the event. So we said that we were going to hold off on the debate for this Sunday until we find out who the official candidates are. That information, LA Times said was going to come out on Wednesday. It actually came out today or last night, I think at 1 o'clock in the morning. We got it from a couple different sources, and we've been using that, got the info out to everybody. So no recall debate this Sunday, but this upcoming Saturday, we will have one of the biggest, most well-done debates we've ever had.
Awesome. I just wanted to hear it all again. Sorry.
Oh, no. That's why we have these
for the
meetings.
viewers.
Oh, no. Thank you for asking, because I've been a little head with the chicken cut off, as we call it here in the Central Valley this morning. So Larry Elder is not on the list. Mike says Larry Elder's not on the list. Okay, I guess Larry Elder did not make it. So he will not be invited to the debates. Thank you, Mike. Any other comments at all from anyone? Just a few minutes left. Okay, we're going to call an end to the show. Thank you all for being here. We'll be here again next weekend, same time. As always, having the most key conversation that Californians can have and making sure to bring legitimate news items that the mainstream media will not cover to your eyes. Thank you so much. Jack B says the CALEXIT coin sounds great. Thank you, Jack B. Be coming out soon. We hope everybody can promote it. We're really glad to showcase that we built this literally with people across continents using our international outreach and people who aren't even in America but have heard about CALEXIT and support it. As we've always said, most of the world would like this idea if they ever talk to them. So most of the planet's cool with this idea. Anyways, let's go CALEXIT to the moon.
Yeah, and folks, don't forget tune in.
Real quick.
Sorry. Folks, don't forget to tune in to Marcus Ruiz Evans or the Yes California CALEXIT movement on YouTube for Saturday's super huge, super awesome gubernatorial recall candidate debate.
Featuring Doug Ossie, likely Kevin Kiley, and likely Joel Ventresca. So one of the top 4 candidates in the Republicans, the top Democratic candidate, and one of the top conservative candidates, and hosted by 2 different newspaper editors, including the guy who started the 2003 recall. Coming up this Saturday. Okay. I'll see you soon.